Merchant Ivory's debut film, The Householder, was inspired by Satyajit Ray's works, and it depicts a similar kind of social realism and struggling middle class milieu. Playing her here today is Uttara Sukanya Joshi. Uttara is a psychology graduate, an English literature postgraduate, a certified Reiki master, teacher, and a Vedic astrologer who currently works for the Office for the National Statistics. She is a singer trained in Hindustani classical vocal music with interest in acting, creative arts, and writing, ancient world history, philosophy, spirituality, and Vedic astrology. So many things. Today, she plays Leela Naidu, Uttara.
I am Leela Naidu, who played a newly married young woman in Merchant Ivory's first film, The Householder, in 1963. Let me share a less well-known fact about my work in it. Ismail Merchant, the film's producer, was a lovable man, but I wasn't paid a single penny for acting in his film. I played the role of Indu, a young housewife who feels mistreated by her husband and her interfering, overbearing mother in law. When she gets upset, angry, and fed up, she packs a suitcase in front of them and decides to leave for her mother's house. As Indu, when my husband tells me I can't go, I say, "Can't go? You'll see tomorrow, 11 o'clock train." "Indu, please listen to me. I've listened enough to you and to your mother." Quite bold lines for that time. By the time I appeared in The Householder, I had already made my film debut as an accomplished singer in Rishikesh Mukherjee's Anuradha. The year was 1960 and I was 20. Just 6 years earlier, in 1954, at the age of 14, I had turned into a national celebrity when I was crowned Miss India. Rishida could have picked an actress with a proven track record, but he chose me. In Anuradha, I give up my career as a singer after marrying an idealistic doctor. But when my husband gets so absorbed in work that I start feeling neglected, I am pushed to start doubting whether my decision to marry him had been a right one. Anuradha's music was studded with Indian classical rags and was composed by sitar maestro Pandit Ravi Shankar. Its songs are still part of the memory of numerous lovers of Indian music all over the world. For example, जाने कैसे सपनों में खो गई अखियाँ, मैं तो जागी मोरी सो गई अखियाँ, जाने कैसे सपनों में खो गई अखियाँ, मैं तो जागी मोरी सो गई अखियाँ। सावरे 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 जाओ सावरे सावरे काहे मुझसे करो जोरा जोरी भैया मामा मोड़ो मोड़ी दूंगी दूंगी गारी हटो जाओ जी सावरे सावरे. Before moving on, let me take you a few steps back into my roots. I was born in Mumbai in 1940, but by the age of 7 had lived in Paris and Geneva. I speak French fluently. That's because my mother was French and I spent my childhood in France. My mother, Dr. Marthe Mange Naidu, had studied at Université de la Sorbonne. She was a journalist with an artistic temperament. Let me tell you a funny story. In imitation of my mother, I had learned to play a simplified version of one of Chopin's pieces. On my mother's birthday, I decided to impress her by playing that piece for her on her birthday before her friends. I was unable to understand why many of them were suppressing their laughter while I was playing the piano. I only realized the faux pas or blunder I had committed when my mother remarked at the end of it with a smile, "Thank you, chérie, but why would you play a funeral march on my birthday?" My father, Dr. Ramaya Naidu, was a renowned nuclear physicist from Andhra Pradesh in South India. He was a postdoctoral student of the radium woman and Nobel laureate Marie Curie. I was, therefore, the natural heir to the polish and sobriety that marked the educated intelligentsia of both India and the West. I inherited my mother's aesthetic sense and my determination from my father. I think this gave me a distinctive place among the stars of Bombay's film world. After my schooling in France and Switzerland, I moved to India in the 1950s when my father joined UNESCO as science director. We talk so much about caste discrimination in India, but when I look back, I can recollect the discrimination prevalent in the West when I was a child. Being the product of a mixed race marriage, I remember my classmates had once surrounded me in a hall in the school. Assuming my faith was Hinduism, they mockingly kneeled before me, turned up their noses to me, and asked, "Is this how your people worship?" They were making fun of the Hindus' idea of using murtis or idols as part of their prayers. What they did not know is, in actual fact, until I was 7 years old, my parents did not declare me to be of any faith and allowed me to freely choose my beliefs. I later chose to be a Sufi. Still, as a child, I felt I had to rise to the defense of Hinduism when a French priest made derogatory remarks about Hinduism. He said my people worship crocodiles and fish and idols made of wood. I felt I had to retort by pointing out that in his place of worship there is a wooden idol of Saint Mary. Clearly being defensive, he hastened to say Saint Mary's idol itself is not worshipped but used as a means of concentrating on Saint Mary. He was digging a hole for himself, since Hinduism's murtis or idols have the same purpose. I think he knew that, so he very quickly changed the subject. But let me not dwell upon negative experiences. My family connections gave me many privileges. I got tips on acting from the celebrated French film director Renoir, and I was asked to model for the famous artwork Madonna of Port Ligat by the renowned Salvador Dali, also known for his distinctive moustache. Similarly, in India, my family connections linked me with freedom fighter and poetess Sarojini Naidu, who had won accolades in the UK in the late 1800s. She was also my paternal aunt. Other celebrities I knew were classical dancer and Devdasi or temple dancer Bala Saraswati, poet and actor Harindranath Chattopadhyay, and his talented wife Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay. In 1963, in addition to acting in The Householder, I did something that no other Indian actress had agreed to do. I took the bold step of accepting a negative role in R.K. Nayyar's crime thriller Ye Raaste Hai Pyar Ke, or Love's Pathways, in 1963. I played the lead role of an adulterous wife opposite Indian actor Sunil Dutt. Its story was a fictionalized adaptation of a real life murder that had taken place in Mumbai in 1959. Known as the Nanavati murder case, it was about a high ranking Parsi Navy commander, K.M. Nanavati, who killed his close friend Prem Ahuja upon discovering that he was his English wife Sylvia's lover. It had sent shockwaves throughout India. The case also marked a milestone in Indian legal history since it resulted in the abolition of one of the legacies of the British Raj, the jury system. Luckily, my boldness paid off. Ye Raaste Hai Pyar Ke proved to be a commercial success and helped to turn me into something of an icon for women's liberation in India. Next, in 1969, I played a small role in Merchant Ivory's The Guru. But as an actress, I loved and lived the role offered to me by Shyam Benegal in his Trikal, Past, Present and Future in 1985. The film is set in the Indian state of Goa during the twilight of Portuguese rule. I played the central character of a distraught Portuguese widow, Maria Soares, who refuses to believe that her husband, Ernesto, is dead. She keeps sitting silently in her ornate rocking chair, listening absently to a song on an old hand-wound gramophone. Whenever the song ends, she gestures with her hand to her young maid to put it on again. रुक क्यों गए? चलाओ इससे. Memorably, in secret, she conducts seances for trying to call the spirit of her late husband. In those scenes, I deliver lines such as, Ernesto, तुम लौट आओ. Ernesto, तुम्हें मरिया बुला रही है. मेरी आवाज वहां तक पहुंच रही है. Ernesto, बोलो, मैं हूं मरिया. I gave a studied and remarkably controlled performance. It was a sheer haunting experience to work with Leela Naidu, who breathed innocence and serenity in her performance, said Shyam Benegal, who had earlier shot an advertisement with me for Finlay Fabrics, a well-known Indian brand in the mid-1960s. In 1965, it pleased me to hear David Lean complimenting me for being a method actress who never curtailed my spontaneity. But in spite of my talent, dedication, and commitment, I ended up acting only in a handful of films. This was because, in a film industry ridden with stereotypes, the strengths of my personality and innate style were regarded as drawbacks. Sadly, my personal life was far from happy. When I was about 17, I met and married and soon divorced the affluent scion of the Oberoi group of hotels, Tilak Raj or Tiki Oberoi. It was a shattering experience when I failed to get custody of my twin daughters. I later married poet Dom Moraes, but that too ended in a divorce. To fight my loneliness, I sought comfort in the philosophical teachings of J. Krishnamurti in London. Later on, I lived like a recluse in Mumbai. My last film was Pradeep Krishan's Electric Moon in 1992. You can read more about my life in my memoir, Leela, a patchwork life that I wrote with Indian poet and writer Jerry Pinto. It was published in 2010 by Penguin Books soon after my final exit from the world stage, tomorrow. Yes, it was tomorrow, when I passed away on the 28th of July, 2009. Apart from seeing me in my English and Hindi films, there's presently only one video on YouTube in which you can hear and see me talking in French. That is the last random fact that I'll be sharing about myself here. I would have talked about more, but due to time constraints, I will have to end it here. Thank you. Merci beaucoup et au revoir.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Uttara, for your brilliant blending of music that added color to your portrayal.